Hey guys, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and this is going to be my spoiler review for The Batman, which I loved. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, it really helps me out a lot. Oh, and go check out the spoiler review I did with Movie Lovers Unite. That was super fun. I had a really good time. Show some love, that would be really cool, but let's just get right into this. I don't even know if I'm going to call it a review because it might just turn into me nerding out, but I did like how they referenced the comics like Hush and Last Halloween, all that stuff without like beating us over the head with it. I did like how the guy in the beginning had the half a face paint of makeup, so it's like, oh, is that like a nod to Two-Face? A few times during this movie I thought, are you cutting it too close to fan service? But then it never went far enough where I didn't like it. But even with the villains, with everything, it was like, there was a few times, even with the themes, I was like, this could go a little too far for my liking, but then it never did. It always stayed, it towed the line perfectly. And I do think this was the best depiction of Gotham City. I really felt like this was an episode of the animated series brought to life. That scene, I don't think half the theater noticed that the Riddler was in that apartment. In the opening shot, I was like, oh my god, that is so creepy. That's also like my worst fear ever. But I really liked that a lot. That was super disturbing. I'm shocked. They were coming real close with some of this stuff. With it being PG-13, I was like, oh my god. We have the gang fight in the beginning on Halloween night, and he beats up the whole painted up gang and stuff. And the way they used, not just the music, because the music in this is outstanding. The way they used Ave Maria, you guys know how I am. I grew up super Catholic. I know how I'm the way they used that, the way the score was used, this was perfectly done. And I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the sound, the way they had his boots sound every time he showed up, the way his entrance, it was so menacing and so like you just knew what the deal was. The monologue of him talking over the bat signal in the beginning versus how he looks at it at the end of the movie. I loved it in the beginning. I was like, oh, I really love the way they're doing this and showing everybody shook. Like, oh shit, we gotta go in. Like street lights are on, we gotta go home. But for criminals, and we know that's what the bat signal is, but it's just like the way they used it. I thought that was amazing. The choreography for the fights were great and brutal, but they were so, I don't want to compare them to John Wick because they're not as John Wick. It's just like, they were like a dance, and it was almost like they had a beat to them, and I thought that it was great. I really liked that. I don't know if that was planned out, but obviously somebody had to eventually come up with that. But it was, like I said, it almost sounded like music while he was beating their ass. And a lot of, I mean, there always is with Batman because it's Bruce Wayne, and then there's Batman, yada yada. There's a lot of duality going on in this, and a lot of themes of that. Oh, as soon as he was doing a lot of detective stuff, I was like, oh my god, yes. And the amount of gadgets he used, I wish he would have used the Batarang more, but the amount of gadgets he used, the grab hook, everything like that, that was great. I really liked that a lot, and I really appreciated that, and every time he used something, I was like, yes! And I thought it was the perfect mix of, okay, comic book, we're pulling out gadgets off the utility belt, Adam West shit, but not ridiculous, and real world. I like that we didn't see his parents get killed. I like that they never went back to that. Him and Gordon already have a relationship, and Jeffrey Wright, who played Gordon, all of the actors were A-game. But I feel like because Gordon and Batman already have this rapport with each other and this relationship with each other, they were able to pull off some of those funnier moments throughout this movie. I did appreciate Batman's relationship with the police, though, but I like that those things were already established. I loved the suit. The suit was amazing. Even at that crime scene when he sees the mayor's son, and then later on at the funeral saves him, I really liked that, because and without, this is a perfect way of showing the audience, hey, you have issues from your childhood, you lost a parent, we can relate, but we don't need to spoon feed you and tell you that. You know what I mean? It's just, obviously he sees a little bit of himself in this kid, and then later on, I think that no matter what, he would have saved whoever was in the way at the funeral, but that really got to Bruce. And I also like that they showed him save somebody outside of the cape and cowl. I love my Zodiac Killer stuff. I love my serial killer stuff. I'm sure a lot of you out there do, but I loved this Zodiac Killer vibe of the Riddler. I really liked this a lot. And at first, when Paul Dano was, after he gets unmasked, I kind of was like, this could go either, like what? But then we'll get to that in a minute, but I ended up really liking his performance. That's where I'm going to talk more about the duality of things. I loved that not only was he being a detective, but then they showed him take out the camera contact lens. I was like, oh shit, we got Batman. Because I think a lot of people thought that this was supposed to be set like in the 80s or the 90s, and they didn't do that. And they made it, but I thought that was smart. We have all this technology, we have all of this, we're in this time period, but it still worked. I did like Andy Serkis playing Alfred, and I was kind of worried about that because I do love Alfred, and I like this sterner Alfred that was like, no, I'm telling you what you need to hear, and I'm not just this kind old man, which I love all the other Alfreds for sure. The point they made where, oh, I taught you how to fight, this, that, and the other, and I liked that he was running Wayne Enterprises, essentially, because that would probably be how it would be. Like, dude, I'm supporting your weird habits at night, Bruce, but someone's got to run this fucking company. Not Wayne Manor, but I like that they made his penthouse, like, creepy and, like, Batman, like Bruce Wayne, like the Tim Burton ones almost, where it's this gothic, weird stuff in it. And I really liked that a lot. And I liked that they showed him coming home, like, with the makeup on his eyes, and you look like me after a night out 5 years ago. But when we start off, he finds out about the girl that went missing, and so he goes down to the club, and then we get him beating ass through this club, and it is sweet. It is awesome, with the strobe lights, with the sound. Nobody's really noticing, because I really liked that a lot. I did. And then we get the Penguin. I thought Colin Farrell stole this entire movie. I really do. I'm glad he's getting a spin-off. I'm stoked for it. If you wouldn't have told me that was Colin Farrell, I wouldn't have known. I thought, and it wasn't just the prosthetics, it was how he sounded, everything. And I thought the Penguin was funny. I thought nobody went too over the top, and nobody did too little. Everybody knows, if you've been over here, that I've been super stoked for Mob Boss Penguin. This did not disappoint. And when we got to the end and showed him, like, yeah, I'm taking over Gotham City, that was sweet. I meet the Penguin, we meet Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, or Selena Kyle. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer's always going to be my favorite. I thought she was great. I liked her attitude. I like that Batman. I always like this about Batman, though, that he's, like, essentially, like, scared of girls. Like, yeah, I'll take on a whole gang, but it's, like, relationships, I can't do that. I really liked their back and forth. I really liked her as Selena Kyle, though. She was a great Selena Kyle. She was a great Catwoman, too. I'm not taking anything away from that at all. I'm just saying I really appreciated her as... She was great as his character in both ways. And you know what I mean, Batman people, when we're like, are they a good Bruce Wayne? Or are they a better Batman? Yada, yada, yada. And we got a ton of Batman in this. And the Bruce Wayne we got was more subdued, but not really, like, quiet. But I don't want to say quiet. He was more of just a presence. And the stuff he said was like, I'm just, like, watching more than I say stuff, which I think is a accurate and good portrayal of Batman. Like, he's a loner and doesn't talk to people except for Alfred. But when it comes to stepping up to the plate, he will. Like, when he goes toe-to-toe with Falcone and right outside the mayor's funeral, I really liked that, when he's like, yeah, because of the Hippocratic Oath, that's why. And when he talks about his dad saving him, and I did like the corruption of the Wayne family and all this stuff, and I was kind of worried that they were going to make the Riddler, the reporter who got killed, son or something, but they didn't do that. And honestly, I wouldn't have minded if they did that, but for a minute I thought that's where it was going. So we meet the Penguin, we meet Catwoman, but this was one of my favorite, like, shots in the entire thing, was when Selena Kyle comes home, tells her girlfriend, yeah, everything's gonna be, we don't really know what's said because we are watching, like, and I liked that they made it, like, creepy, almost like a peeping Tom, like Batman's watching something. And you're not supposed to be lurking on people. Like, I understand he's trying to do it for good, but it's like, you're watching through windows and stuff, but I really love that they showed it through the windows of her, like, telling her girlfriend, like, I'm gonna fix this, whatever, and then into the next room, taking off my work outfit, into the Catwoman suit, this is on, out the window, down the chute, swinging off a ladder, here we go, now I'm Catwoman, and I really loved that. That was super cool. I liked her basic little mask, because she's just a regular cat burglar. So her and Batman link up. She ends up going through the club with the camera eyes in, and I really liked that. That was really cool, because that saves time on a bunch of stuff, and it made a lot of sense. I liked it. And we get to know that all these politicians and all these people go to this club that the Penguin and the Mob and Falcone run, and John Turturro was great. And we're not used to seeing him as, like, the big bad, and I wouldn't, even though he's the big bad in this, he is one of those big bads that it's like, you might be a bad guy, but I really like hanging out with you, and you're very charismatic, and I really loved that about his character. Can we just give it up for the amount of pleather they used for Catwoman? Thank you. I kind of didn't like making him her dad, but I didn't mind. I didn't hate it because it fit. It did fit. Well, it wasn't my favorite thing that they did, but I didn't mind it, that's for sure. You find out more and more about the corruption in Gotham, and a couple times I got worried, like, are you towing the line too close to, like, other things like The Dark Knight or this or that, and I'm like, well, it's all still Batman, but then it didn't. Then it would always make a left. Every time I thought you're getting too close to anything in this, whether it was too campy or too over the top or too close to another Batman film, every time it would make a left turn, and I'd be like, no, you didn't do that, and I like this. Like that they had him do a costume change after he saves the kid at the funeral, and then all of a sudden he's into the Batman suit, and that's when I was like, holy shit, the rat tubes and the neck bomb, when I was like, am I watching Seven? Because that's how it felt. If you don't like Batman, you could still like this movie. It's a great like thriller mystery, whodunit, what's going on here, because it really did. And that's what I mean, comparing it to things like Saw and Seven, those are rated R movies, and for them to get the PG-13 rating, it's like, man, I guess it's because you didn't have that much blood, but there was some crazy shit in this. And when the neck bomb happened, I thought that was really cool, but I was kind of shocked. The rat one was like, ugh, but the neck one, I was just like, oh my god. And when he saves that kid, and then all of a sudden he shows up and he's Batman, I was shocked when they blew Batman away for a second. I was like, oh my god, him and Alfred. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna allow Alfred to get hurt? What the fuck? We don't allow Alfred to get hurt. So let's stick to bomb neck, because I love when people have a genuine reaction in a theater, and somebody in my theater, right when it went off, screamed, Jesus Christ! And that's immediately when I was like, yeah, I've been thinking that for a minute now, and I'm like, how did you guys are cutting it real close for this PG-13 rating. And with the thumb drive, I thought that was genuinely funny. Some people are saying it was too much, but I was like, no, I thought that was funny. That's what I mean about having Gordon and Batman already have a relationship, though. These things already work. We already know how you act. We already know how you're going to react. We already know this, that, and the other about each other, so we don't need setup for it. So I thought that the humor paid off. Anybody else notice this? That in a couple shots, not just during the Penguin car chase, but a few times the way they framed Batman was like a bat, like he was upside down and stuff, and I thought that was very interesting. Some of the ways this was awesome all around, and I could really get into it, but let's just stick to basics for now. I loved the Riddler's riddles. I thought those were really well done, simple, to the point. I liked it. I liked when they go to the drug bust for the Penguin, and this is what I've been talking about ever since high school. Me and Brad were talking about this, about how much we wanted a Batman Beyond live action, and I'm sure we've all been saying that, but Batman Beyond has this 90s, 2000s rave feel to it, but it's like ecstasy and stuff going around, but we're calling it something else because it's Batman and it's Gotham and it's for kids, whatever. And I liked that they did that with this, with the drops. And I liked that they showed like, oh, some people are having fun with it and a good time at the club, but then in the orphanage we showed like, no, these people, this can mess you up and like cause problems and you can be an addict of it. It's not just like fun time drug. But I liked that. We didn't call it something real. And I got Batman Beyond vibes from that, but I really loved that drug bust. That was sweet. When Catwoman came in on that motorcycle, I loved that. And that's where I really got animated series vibes, because I was like, no, we're not doing so, where Catwoman and Batman did like meet up and stuff, but it was more of like, we are running into each other in this same conflict. And I really liked that. When Batman was standing up there and saw her come in, was like, God damn it, dude, like what? I liked that a lot. And when she came in and her whip had like a chain in it or on it, I loved that choreography. That was super cool. Not only was that super cool, but I thought that the reveal of the Batmobile was going to be lessened because we had already seen it in the trailer. And I will say this, a ton of the stuff used in the trailer wasn't even like key to the plot. It was like random stuff from the end or the beginning, and I was shocked. I really was, because normally we talk about that over here all the time, that trailers give too much away and there's so much in them, but none of the stuff in the Batman trailers was really like key elements in the movie itself, and I give it a lot of respect for that. But the Batmobile got its own reveal as if it was a human character, and I loved it. The chase scene was epic, and I don't know if it's just because I love the Penguin or not, but I thought that was great. That was awesome, showing it from the inside of the car, showing it from the outside of the car, the length it was. I couldn't believe how long that went on for, but that was another one, like I said, where we show Batman coming up upside down, hanging like a bat, and I think that's the only time we see like fear in the Penguin's eyes. Him and Gordon were questioning Penguin, and then when he's tied up, he does the waddle like the Penguin. That was super funny. I thought the Spanish thing hit and was actually funny because they didn't justify why he knew Spanish. He was just like, are you too dumb? Why don't you know this? I really liked that, and I think because they didn't explain it and didn't feel the need to explain it is why it was funny and why it worked. The Penguin's just like, okay, ignorant idiots. That Batmobile reveal, though, that was sweet. That was so cool. I did like that they were getting into, like, Bruce, your parents weren't the greatest. They weren't the best people that you thought they were. I liked when Falcone said, well, he saved my life because of this, this, and this, and then we owe each other favors, you know how the mob works. I liked that. I felt like that all worked. But I also feel like they didn't make it so much that it was like, he's a total scumbag. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I really liked about this Batman, is that it was him young, realizing not everything is black and white. There's a gray area with people. Not everybody's perfect. Nobody is wholly good and nobody's wholly bad. The same thing with fear and hope. And I liked how everybody was connected. I liked everything with his parents and the corruption, and we were covering for but the truth is I was trying to protect your mom. I didn't want it to go that far, yada, yada, yada. But what I really liked, and this is what I mean about the duality. Not only do we have the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman, and when Batman comes to the club and they're like shook, when Bruce Wayne comes, oh, it's the Prince of Gotham. We have Selina Kyle and we have Catwoman. Like, there's obvious ones, and then there's, like I said, it starts out very bleak, and he's like, no, we just need to beat the brakes off people, and then it's like, maybe that's not the only way to go. Maybe that's not, there's two sides to every coin. Let's two-face it, if you will. When they finally get Falcone and find the Riddler's apartment, I really liked, one, I was cracking up because I'm like, oh, you are taking a shot at all of us YouTubers. And I appreciate it, and I think it's funny. And then I was like, oh, you did show those people that agreed with the Riddler's message outside of the mayor's funeral. So this would make sense, and in the real world probably would happen, and probably would have an online message. But we have the Riddler, who really thinks, like, me and you are the same, Bruce Wayne. Me and you are similar. Batman realizes, what have I unleashed on this city by doing this? Like, what are you? But I did appreciate the online stuff. I really did. I was cracking up when his tone changed, because at first I was like, this could be a little ridiculous, and then even when they got to the interrogation part, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this take. But then I really did. I liked when his voice changed. I liked when he was just like, just how I do. Welcome to Motor City Nerds. And I was cracking up. The funniest part is I couldn't pay attention to what the Riddler was doing because I was too busy looking at the comments section, and that's when I realized some shit was up, because I kept seeing, like, where can I get this gauge of shell and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my god, they're planning something. This is crazy. And he did have those supporters. But when Batman is interrogating him and realizes, oh my god, you think you're doing something just as good as I am, and we're not the same, and maybe I'm going about things wrong. I wouldn't say wrong, but I think he realizes there's more to it than just beating the hell out of criminals. And there's more to this than I thought. And like I said, this is a young Batman figuring out what this Gotham needs. When he goes back to the Riddler's apartment, to the crime scene, and after the Riddler tells him, oh, you haven't figured it out? You haven't figured it out? Are you kidding me? Yada, yada, yada. I liked that an average guy, the police officer, just average dude, is the one who tells him, like, no, yeah, my uncle installs carpeting. That's what that is. And so I really liked that it was an average guy that just told him, hey, that's what that is. And he's like, oh, yeah, because I thought that was a nice little thing to do, because it's like, oh, Bruce Wayne wouldn't be installing carpet and stuff. It also adds to the relationship with the police, where it's like, man, you are messing up my night, and I don't want to deal with this right now. Please don't do anything too crazy. But I do know that you're trying to do some good here, which is also why I really, really loved the scene when they come out and Gordon says, not all of us are in your pocket, and not all of us support you, and the police that aren't corrupt are out there. And this is what I mean. You're showing that there's not everybody is bad, no matter what, whether it's the police in this, whether it's the politicians, whether it's the lady running to be mayor, everybody there's good and evil, and there's the in-between, but there's always hope, and there's always people that will want to do the right thing. Not everybody's being paid off. Not everybody's going to choose the bad side. And they showed that a lot with this, but I really did love that scene, especially after they had Batman square up with the cops and was fist fighting them and shit. I was like, no way they're going to go there. And I loved that scene. And he was like, yeah, let's go. Let's get crazy then. I loved that. But I was like, whoa, you might get yourself into hot water. But then later on down the road, I was like, oh no, this makes sense. Like I said, some of you are in Falcone's pocket, but the truth is not all of us are, and not all of us want to see Gotham fall, and Riddler and Batman, and Riddler thinks they're on the same team, but really they're not. That was when I really appreciated the performance of the Riddler, was when you can see it change on his face, that he snaps when he realizes, you don't agree with me. Like, you don't agree with me? What do you mean? Like, well, we're both trying to get rid of corruption. We're both fighting crime. Like, what? And that's when he goes into Crazy Town. At first, I kind of thought we were going with the full, like, quirky online persona thing, and it wasn't going to stop. But then when it did stop, and he was like, oh no, now I'm pissed and I'm angry. That worked for me. That really worked for me. And once he goes back and finds out the trucks are going to blow, that also made me feel more comic booky, animated series, like we have this big huge thing about to happen, yada yada yada. And I like that Batman couldn't stop it. I liked that this Batman realizes, like, it doesn't matter if I can't save all of Gotham. The water's still going to get in. This is still going to happen. But what I need to be is a symbol of hope. And I'm going to, if I can only save one person, then I'm going to save that one person. If I can save a million, I'll save a million. But I'm going to do what I can because I'm a human. This made Batman most human, I feel like. And honestly, and I kind of was tearing up in the theater. I really was, because I was getting, it reminded me of watching a real, when the levees all busted open and the water came in. I felt like I was really watching something from like back when 9/11 happened. Like I was watching the news, like, and a tragedy really happens and you see people helping each other. And that's what I mean about the hope. Like, okay, at first I was trying to be this scary thing to be afraid of, but now I'm realizing that's not the only thing I need to be. I need to show these people, like, I'm here to help you. And when the lady won't let go of him, and like I said, it really was emotional watching that, and it really did feel like watching a real tragedy on the news and watching people show how good they can be. It's Batman, but this one person is showing, like, I'm going to help as much as I can, and each person's going to do what they can. And I did like that it wasn't a giant sky beam. It wasn't something that was going to take down the whole city that he could stop. It was, no, this already happened. I can't stop it, so I'm going to save all the people I can. Not just saving people, but just do what I can. Do what you can as a person. And I really liked that, and I really liked the message of that, and the back and forth of that. Of it doesn't just have to be kicking ass and being scary. There's also hope and light to you. I really enjoyed this movie a lot, and I would love to get into it more. This was just like my quick spoiler review, but this is what I mean. This was very human, very... It's Batman if you love Batman, but then it's like when you really get down to it and start thinking about it, there are some very heavy themes in this that I really liked a lot, and I thought were really well done. Where, like I said, not everything's black and white. There's a gray area. That's life, like in general and for real. Like not everything is this or that. Not everything is evil or good. There's an in-between, and sometimes you can't do it all, but you can do something. And not everybody's a scumbag, and there is hope, and there should be hope that we can make things better. And I really liked that. But let's be real, the Penguin was the best part. Colin Farrell, you're my new favesy person ever of all time. But no, the Penguin was the best. The Penguin was the best. That was the best. Oh, let's talk about it. I didn't know how I felt about them doing the Joker thing. I like it. At first I was thinking, is this going to be somebody else and you want us to think it's the Joker? But then he said the clown thing, and I was like, oh no, that's the Joker. And we talk about this in the review I did over with Movie Lovers Unite, but I was saying that, and this is what I genuinely want. I don't want them to do Joker off rip, and I don't think anybody does want them to do the Joker off rip. I would love to see in a third installment, the Joker and the Penguin squaring off for who really runs Gotham now. That would be sick. That would be awesome. We always bring him up over here, but that Hannibal Lecter thing of, I miss having a charismatic, just like with Falcone, I love a charismatic bad guy that we like, but I like that Hannibal Lecter thing of, I'm talking to you in the cell next to you, and if you know Silence of the Lambs, he makes that one guy chew his wrist open and all this other crazy stuff because he can get in their head because he's so smart. And we've seen, I'm not talking about Heath Ledger, I'm talking about Jared Leto, crazy, wild, Joker's nuts, got it, okay. You can still make the Joker crazy, obviously, but I would love to see a charismatic, intelligent, but crazy Joker that can get into your head and can convince you of things, and I would love that. This is blatantly setting up for sequels, but down the road have him square up his mob versus the Penguin's mob and who really runs Gotham that would be so cool. But at first I didn't know how I felt about it, and then I was like, as long as they don't shove him down our throat, I'll be happy. So I kind of thought it was shoehorned in, but then I was like, you want to know what? 30 seconds or a minute, I'll take that. I'll take that for an entire movie that is great, and I really don't mind this being a thing. Of course I don't mind the Joker showing up, but I just was like, did somebody tell you to do this, or did you do this on your own type feel when I was watching it? But then thinking about it after the fact, I was just, there's so many ways you could go with that. I just don't want them to immediately cram the Joker down our throat. Yeah, no, I'm sure I'm going to talk more about this. I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Yeah, and go over and check out the reviews I did with John at Movie Lovers Unite. It was super fun. I was honored to be on. I don't know what I'm doing, you guys. You guys all know this, so it's like the fact that anybody wants to work with me, I'm like, oh, thank you. That's awesome. But yeah, comment, subscribe. We're almost to 500. I'm shocked. And I have a Euphoria video up. I have other Batman stuff up. I think I'm going to do a whole separate video just about the Penguin because I love him and he's my favesies. But I wouldn't even call this a review. I would call this more like a rundown of stuff that, but I loved it. I thought this was great. I thought everything about it was great. And I'll be shocked if I don't know if they'll give them, I don't know, they should nominate them for awards, but at least the music and the sound, and for sure. And this was great. And even if you're not a huge Batman fan, you might really enjoy this. If you like Seven or any thriller like that, or you'll like this. If you like serial killer shit, you'll like this.